Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, I thought it was about time we had a bit of an update on Sarah Boone. And she was actually back in court last week. For those that are not aware of this case, which I think a lot of you are by now, back on February 25th of 2020, Sarah Boone, who was 42 at the time, she was arrested by Orange County deputies after detectives stated that her 42-year-old boyfriend, George Torres Jr., died after being zipped into a suitcase where she left him for hours. And this happened in Winter Park, Florida. And she claimed it was a game of hide and go seek. It's a very crazy case, and I do have an entire playlist on it, so I will link to that also in the information of this video. So let's jump into the latest court appearance, and this is her 8th attorney. This is Patricia Cashman. Court TV, I did find a piece of it. It was highly edited. However, Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, who if you're not following him, why not? That said, I'm going to play his and pause it a bit. It's very, very short, and he's also done great coverage on this case, and he's a lawyer, and I'm not. So, all right, let's check it out.
I obviously am not going to be ready for trial in May. We had discussed that on the day of the appointment.
Well, there you go. Obviously, she's not going to be ready for trial in May. And that's just how this stuff works. Nobody's mad. The judge isn't mad. If she explained it to Sarah Boone shouldn't be mad. And this lawyer's type of personality, again, and we broke it down in detail in the last video, but if she's pretty stern and to the point, her first meeting with Sarah Boone, I expect went something like this. Ms. Boone, listen, I'm going to do the best I can, but you have to trust me. If you don't trust me, it's not going to work out for you. It's not going to work out for me. And there's no way I can just snap my fingers and go to trial.
Yeah, Peter has stated, especially after all these attorney changes, and once Patricia Cashman came on, that there was no way that we were going to have a trial May or even the summer. I think that them trying to get one this year, maybe pushing it a bit, but Peter has stated, and I agree, very end of 2024, early 2025. That does seem more realistic as far as this is concerned. But again, the thing is, we're dealing with Sarah Boone, and again, she's not the easiest person to deal with. She's been through now 7 attorneys. This is number 8. I mean, I'm really hoping, I keep saying that every time she gets one, but I'm really hoping that Cashman is the one, and she's got enough, in her to tell her, listen, if you want to get this crap done, we got to get it done. But again, it's Sarah Boone. That said, looking back at the history a bit with Sarah and her attorneys, she initially, in her first year, and remember, she got arrested right before the lockdowns and the pandemic. So that part to me, it's over now. It's been all on her. It's not, throw COVID out the door. That's just BS as far as I'm concerned. If she even wants to bring that in. They had, every time that attorney, her initial lawyer, public defender, because she's always had a public defender, she's not able to afford any of this stuff, and the taxpayers are paying for every dime and every penny. And like I've told you guys, I live in Orange County, Florida here, so my tax dollars, and anybody else who's out there that lives in Orange County, Florida, we are paying for all of Sarah's insanity. That said, she has rights, and I'm all for it, but it's kind of gotten a little crazy at this point. She initially had like 6 or 7 within her first year, 6 or 7 experts approved and paid for by the JAC, the state. So it was agreed to that we as taxpayers would pay for these experts. And if anybody wants me to go over them, I will go over them in another video. We can look through all that stuff. But she initially had that, and she just had so many issues along the way. I mean, she had a mitigator, and she had, other kinds of experts. And I don't think the alcohol defense came until later. But again, she had plenty of experts that were paid by tax dollars.
You shouldn't want me to. If you want me to just go to trial tomorrow, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to lose. I'm not going to be prepared. So let me be prepared. I'll prove to you I'm working, but you got to prove to me that we can work together. And that's it. And then what I say goes as the lawyer. If I say we need a continuance, we need a continuance. And I think hopefully Sarah Boone can understand that and will do that. Unlike some of the other lawyers where Sarah Boone just thought they weren't even working on her case, so she didn't respect them, and it was a lot harder to work with them and understand why the case was getting delayed.
Come on, Peter. You know that she doesn't make anything easy. He to me is the epitome of a great lawyer. From everything I've seen of him, I've been watching his channel for a while now. But she's just a very, very difficult client. I think the timing that it's taking to get to the trial, while it's crazy, it's the attorney situation. But that said, I hope he's correct that it's taken Patricia Cashman to finally nail that into Sarah's brain. But again, your guess is as good as mine.
So let's hear some of the reasons why and when the new trial is going to get set.
I have been in contact with Mr. Cacciatore. It was my suggestion.
Cacciatore is the prosecutor.
To set a status hearing 90 days out. I've got depositions set on May 7th, and there are likely to be pretrial motions that will need to be filed. The state was asking that the status hearing be in 60 days. At that time, I think we'll be closer to being able to inform the court what we believe will be a trial date that we'd be ready for.
Mr. Cacciatore, anything to add to that?
No, nothing to add to that.
How much time, if you were to ballpark it, how much time do you think you would need in order to be ready for trial? I'm just planning ahead, looking at my trial grid for when we have availability based what I already have specially set. See if we could kind of work backwards from that way.
It's difficult to say at this point. I believe I'll be in a better position.
Judges always want to at least push lawyers for an answer like this, because then the lawyer will push to have the trial done on that day. If there's no day and it's just open, things do tend to lag more.
To give you an answer to that, I've hired an expert, and a number of things are dependent on completion of her evaluation and where we're going to go from there in the case. It is my hope that
there's an expert, there are evaluations, there are depositions. So while we heard multiple times with other lawyers that this stuff needed to get done, time would go by and none of it would really get done. But what has this lawyer already done in not that long of a time? Scheduled depositions, probably taken some depositions, gotten an expert, and is working towards the defense in the case. Now, we don't know if they're going to continue with battered spouse syndrome. We don't know that yet. But this lawyer is moving the case down the road. And that's what I'm saying. If you show your client you're working, which is not like a fake thing where you use smoke and mirrors and make it look like you're working really hard when you're not. But I mean, when you tell them, okay, we got the expert. We need to do your evaluation. I've set these 3 depositions of these 3 people. Oh, this is what they said at their deposition. They're going to understand if the case needs to get continued because they know you're working on their case. And it seems like that's what this lawyer is doing so far for Sarah Boone. I'm hopeful. I was hopeful for the last guy too. And I'm hopeful for her. But if the best indicator of future action is based on past actions, it's probably not going to go well for this lawyer, but we can have hope in the beginning. And it seems like she's getting a lot of work done.
I have to agree with Peter completely. My faith in us ever reaching a trial, I have to admit, it's It's not very good. But we have to be hopeful and hope it happens. And we all know Sarah's not going to take a plea, even if they offered it. She just likes to be difficult. And as far as her difficulties, well, I'm going to discuss some of her behavior also that I've learned about in the jail since she's been in there. But let's finish this hearing.
Next status hearing, I will have gotten those things completed with regard to the expert, and at that point be able to answer that.
She does not look happy. Does she look satisfied? I don't know, but she does not look happy.
But does Sarah ever look happy? I have to wonder. She drinks. She gets a little crazy out there. She likes to talk. She always looks like she's peeved. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Sarah happy, at least not in court, and even definitely not on those body cams or the interviews. She wasn't happy.
I can send you, which is
Also, will they try to use these types of clips to remove cameras from the courtroom? I haven't seen much fight about that just yet, but in her letters, it seems like she's not really happy with how much media attention she's getting. And they're zooming in on her face. And this was one of the big arguments for Lori Vallow for them removing cameras.
approximately.
That said, Peter, I think she's annoyed, but she also loves the attention at the same time. So I think it's a mixed bag of nuts with Sarah Boone.
58 days out. June
So he's going to set the status hearing 58 days out, 2 months out, basically.
10th.
June 10th.
45.
And she does not look happy about that, right? Pushing this out June 10th. So her next status hearing is going to be after when she was supposed to have her trial date, which is trial date number umpteen.
I may be in trial in front of Judge Chu that week just to let the court know.
And again, she's working on other cases. Most lawyers are. The Koberger situation and some of these other situations and trials that we've watched where they're having hearings every week and stuff is getting pushed so fast. I mean, Koberger especially is just so unusual. That is not usually how it is. Unfortunately, if we were going to say the average in America, what is a case more like Sarah Boone's or Brian Koberger? It's probably more like Sarah Boone when you have court-appointed counsel.
If that is the case, I may need to move it last minute.
It is the beginning of your trial period with Judge Chu that Monday, the 10th.
Yes, that's the first day of the trial period, sir.
Okay. If we were to set you then for the Friday before, the 7th.
I'm available.
Mr. Cacciatore.
I'm available too, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. We will set this matter for a status potential determination of trial dates on Friday, June 7 at 8:45 a.m. Anything else to address, Mr. Cacciatore?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else to address, Ms. Cashman?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
Ms. Boone?
So how about that? Prosecutor, defense attorney, then what do? They look over to the defendant. And at this point, I'm going to say, Sarah Boone, can't really complain about people not listening to you. You're almost getting special treatment. Very rarely do they look at my client and say, Mr. Jones, anything you got to say? Or in all of these other cases, they don't usually ask the defendants if they have something they want to or need to say. But guess what? Sarah Boone has pushed her way through, which if you want to give her credit for that, okay. I don't necessarily think it's helped her, but if you want to give her credit for that, now she can have her voice heard on the record in front of the judge. Whenever they're at a hearing, the judge looks at her after her lawyer looks at her, which again, to me, means her lawyer's like, hey, you want to talk? You can talk. They all look at her and say, do you have anything to say? Let's see if Ms. Boone has anything to say. It's always a dangerous question to ask.
That's because they really would rather not hear it later, in my opinion. And they know that she's going to talk or write a letter, so maybe they're hoping there's not a letter after all this. But yeah, I agree, Peter.
Anything else to address Ms. Cashman?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
Ms. Boone? All right. We will see you at that date and time. Thank you all very much.
Nothing to say, which I would say is a good indication and a good thing, but that's exactly how she was with her last lawyer too. It seemed like it was going well after the first hearing. So I am by no means saying this is a great relationship. It's going to work. This is the lawyer we're going to see try her case.
Yeah. So far, maybe fingers, toes, and all that crossed, maybe good. I don't know. Again, I agree with Peter because remember, we thought the last attorney, everything seemed to be going all smoothly. We thought we were on the tracks rolling on down to the, getting right to closer and closer to trial. And then, boom, he wants out. So, as far as Sarah is concerned, I won't believe anything is working until they finally get to jury selection. The trial's started. And even then, gosh, who knows? But I'm not going to believe that Patricia Cashman is going to be her final lawyer until we get to that point. And again, if you are not subscribed to the Lawyer You Know, please do. I will be linking to his channel, the information of this video. I know he's planning on trying to go to the trial when and if it ever happens, as well as myself. So maybe we can all meet up at Orange County in Orlando, downtown Orlando, when that does happen. But yep, that's the update as far as her trial situation goes. Now, there is another channel I wanted to bring up that very, very interesting, and I just discovered her channel, and she only has like 1,000 subscribers. So please go over there, subscribe, check out her content, because she's doing great work, and she went through and she found all this information about Sarah, her history in jail. It's highly entertaining, to say the least. Now, a few things of interest that came out is Sarah has a lot of disturbances and issues with the correctional officers. She gets in trouble a lot, apparently, for disturbances in the bunk area. She's not very... she doesn't like to listen. She's very belligerent to staff. She likes to complain. And I think that we can see how that could easily happen with Sarah. She complained at one point when she was supposed to be hurrying up to get dressed and ready to get on the transport to get to court, that she couldn't hurry up because she was on her period. So apparently she couldn't brush her teeth and get dressed and change her sanitary napkin, I guess. And she was decided to poke around, and that got her into some trouble. And then she also has issues in the showers where apparently she doesn't want to get out of the shower. She talks to people, that sort of stuff. Now, the most interesting, insane stuff that I have learned is Sarah likes to hide cheese. She likes to hide sandwiches and packages of cheese. So I guess she likes cheese. So she's been in trouble for hiding 30 or more packs of cheese. She hid 3 sandwiches at one point. She got in trouble at least a couple more times for more cheese slices. They found, when they did a search of her bunk, they found spoons, various items including bra straps, twist ties, but cheese. Yeah. I guess in a previous life she was either a rat or a mouse. But cheese. So there might be a new nickname for Sarah. has to do with cheese. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to post them in the comments, because I don't know, I don't think that one can get by me too quick, because I'm always going to think of cheese. Maybe she's like crafty cheese lady or something. I don't know. It's got to be something better than that, though. Yeah. And the last piece of information for this update is that, remember the detective, the female detective who was working on the case and she was constantly coughing? I don't have her name right in front of me, but apparently she is now listed on the state Brady list, and she may not be on the new witness list. Now, what that means is it's a list compiled by the state, usually by the prosecutor's office or a police department. It contains the names and details of law enforcement officers who may have sustained incidents of untruthfulness, criminal convictions, candor issues, or some other type of issue that places their credibility into question. That doesn't mean it has anything to do with Sarah Boone's case, but this particular detective may have some issues that could cause the state to not want to put her on the stand because the defense could impeach her testimony. So it's possible we may not see that detective testify in the case of Sarah Boone. But remember, there was also another detective there, and then they've got obviously the body cam from the officer who arrived on the scene, and that has been requested. I saw the documents. They were requesting the body cam. They've requested a new psychologist. There's witnesses they're still working on getting testimony from and transcripts. Again, we have more experts that the the defense is calling on, and we're paying for it. So this particular portion of this entire case, I look forward for it to being over, because who knows how much the case of Sarah Boone and her suitcase has cost Orange County, Florida taxpayers. And I don't know if anybody's a really good math person and we could get the numbers and you can figure it out, but feel free to let me know. We'll see if we can figure it out. And we'll do that as well as go through some of the old documents and see if we can figure out the numbers, because they do list how much that each expert has been paid, and then they come back if they need more. So it can be figured out, at least to a good estimation. And I'm sure at the end it has to be public knowledge because it is paid for by taxpayers. But I would be interested to see if anybody wants to help me compile that information as far as numbers go. So feel free to let me know in the comments or drop me an email, because I'm not the best at math, but I could, of course, add things up on a calculator, of course. But yeah. So again, we have some wheels turning with Sarah's case, but we've had that before. So I don't want to get excited. I don't want to get, thinking, oh, we're finally getting toward a final trial date to get this show on the road. But I don't know. I'm just not going to get myself excited until we finally get everything settled and get that jury trial scheduled and the jury starts to get selected. So, yep. Yeah. All right, guys. That's pretty much all I've got for this one. Again, make sure you subscribe to Transparent Tea if you're interested in those interesting tidbits about Sarah Boone in her prison, all of her issues where she's gotten in trouble, and she's had some times where they've given her some merit points, so she's not always really bad. She likes to sort of help out, I guess, when she feels in the mood, but as well as the lawyer you know. But let's get Transparent Tea up on her subscriptions, because that information is very interesting, to say the least. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.